when you pull up to the spot. What's up, me amigos? You need your building clean? Then hire all my people. You might know him or you might know me. But now that you're here, you're recruited to the team. If you didn't know, we the TPC, and we all about growth. Now let's chase your dreams, baby. Yeah, let's chase your dreams.
We do a little bit different. I don't know if you know, but like we'll just go over some things. The podcast will probably be about like an hour 30, an hour 40, because we got here a little late. Not you, everybody. And one thing we like to do is pray before a podcast, and then we always close it in a prayer. So that's something we're implementing here live. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll lead this one, and then James or Celina, we'll love for you to close out the prayer.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Okay.
All right, awesome. Father God, I just thank you today. I just come with a heart full of gratitude. One, not just because this is our first live podcast on a mission that you set us out to, but because we get to have Edward and Celina here with us today. I just ask for one thing. Let us be a vessel of you. Let us be a vessel of your word. Let us be a vessel of you, that everybody that listens to this podcast not only gets the push but they need to keep going in life, but that they get to see us and want to pursue life with Christ as well. And so I just ask you that you give us the wisdom and you allow us to have fun in this podcast. In Jesus' name, amen. Something simple, straightforward. Why are you looking at us like that?
I love it, cuz I love it. Nobody prays anymore. We pray before our events.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah. And I think it's really special.
I think a lot of people pray. I don't think they're down to talk about it. And so if God gave us this platform, oh, trust me, it's going to be a way of doing ministry.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I like that.
The podcast just started or what? Just kidding.
That's how it
But doesn't it feel different? Like the energy feels like different right off the bat.
I think like just being grateful. You have to be grateful, and I think a lot of people like lose out of that, and they forget the special moments of that. And like in business, they talk about there's a book. It's called Leadership Not by the Book, and it's by David Green, who is the CEO of Hobby Lobby.
Yeah,
and he's faith-based. And he is the one person that goes against the grain, because his business, they say you don't want to talk about politics or God because it's too controversial. But his belief is, well, it doesn't matter what you think, but this is what I believe, and this is what I'm going to run my company off of. And I think that that's so cool, because you're not doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, because nobody wants to conform to regular society.
Totally.
And it's like, if you believe in God, then say a prayer. So before our events too, I mean, we have a room packed full of 300 people. We always say a prayer before we start, because we're just grateful. And like, we're grateful that, everybody made it there safely. We have our health. Sure. And I mean, we could be in a third world country and
100%.
start.
Can you tell it's going to be a good podcast episode already?
I feel like we should just get in.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah, there we go.
I love that. Good. We'll give action shots
anymore. Good.
I know.
Fuck the headsets. All right. Where are we rolling now? Oh, okay. Because I always do my little welcome. Maybe we don't have to do that anymore, right? All right, cool. Whoa, dude. Hold on.
When you guys pray before your events, so 300 people are right there. What's the energy in that room feel like?
Oh, it's powerful. It's so cool. And it, even for the people that aren't faith-based or they're not religious or Christian, like even those people, like atheists, they still like bow their heads and out of a sign of respect. But we believe that there's like a higher being than just people on this earth. Like there's something you got to plug into, whether it's Allah or Buddha, whatever that it is that you believe in, and you have to plug into something. So it's the energy is crazy. We even have people that get emotional and cry.
Oh yeah.
And they'll sniffle a little bit, and it's like, whoa. Like it's a whole nother level. Then now that you have high level entrepreneurs like Brad Lee and people like Keaton Hoskins, the muscle, like they're praying in it too. And it's like, that's really cool. It's powerful. It's different.
I mean, even Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's super into God. So I mean, the thing is, everybody worships something. We were just talking about that. Everybody believes in something. Everybody worships something. It's cool when you get to see the shift from people when they stop worshiping themselves and they connect to something bigger. But we're all plugged into something. I mean, I can already tell this podcast is going to be awesome. For those that don't know, we should probably introduce her, because people are like, what do we get into here? So, Celina, how do I say your last name?
Eklund.
Eklund. Yeah. See, my Mexican side would have
What would it have said?
I don't even know. I was literally, like, I'm staring at letters. Didn't know how to say it. Eklund.
Yeah, Eklund.
Where's that from?
Swedish.
Swedish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of people usually spell Eckland, That's like a common misspelling for it, but yeah, it's
Do
Swedish.
they ever also spell your name with an S?
Definitely, all the time. Yeah, Selena, Selina. Yeah, that's a pretty
Like
common,
Celine,
common
like the
thing. Like the
other,
singer.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, we're super excited to have you. I know we're making a list of guests, right? And we're like, who do you want to have? We're gonna be down in Arizona, and you kept popping out on my algorithm. So you're officially in my Instagram algorithm. And when we started researching you a little bit more, that's when I decided to reach out because based on the notes that we have and everything that we got, I mean, we listened to multiple podcasts you've been part of, learned your history, and you're very impressive. And I don't even know how old you are, but I feel like it makes me need to accomplish more like in the next 6 months. Like I'm like, I think I'm falling behind here.
I'll give you my skincare routine. It's
Yeah,
Neutrogena.
is that what it is?
There you go.
Is that what it is? It's the skincare routine. No, you're very competitive. I just want to start there real quick. You're very competitive, but you also come with a lot of grace, which is very interesting. Usually when people are very competitive, you almost relate them to being cutthroat. Like almost like I'll take you down in a non-healthy way. I know you're very competitive from the start, but you also come with a lot of grace. Where did you get this competitive drive and why do it in a sense of I'll compete, but I'm not going to kill you. I'm compete to make you better.
Oh, I like that. Compete to make you better. I think my foundation, my parents were prior military. And my mother actually, they moved to the United States at age 10. My mother's Japanese, so she moved from Japan, moved to the U.S. at age 10. And my parents had me really young. In a Japanese household, in that culture, you don't really talk about like sex or intimacy. So my mother was never trained on, safe sex and,
Sure.
that field. So my parents had me really young at age 15. So I think it was from that date that both my parents realized, hey, we have a family now, we have a daughter. Like we can't let her fail. And my father's side of the family comes from alcoholics, so he's like, I don't want my daughter to fall back into that. So immediately they both joined the Marine Corps at age 18. I think my mom joined in 17, and they went in immediately. So I got to see them compete as Marines. That Semper Fidelis, always faithful, the camaraderie, the resilience, and my parents always competed in like marathons, triathlons. I got to see them compete in the fitness space too. With the military, you have to stay physically fit. So I grew up with that. And then one thing that my mom always did, I can't wait for her to listen to this too. My mom was smart. She's like, if I can keep Celina away from all the drugs and the alcohol, like what are we going to do to keep her away from all the bad stuff? Well, we keep her busy with the good stuff. So my mom always had me involved in sports, ballet, dance, music. Like I was always doing something to keep me out of that. So she was trying to get me to hang out with the good kids. So played instruments a lot. Then when you play instruments and then when you play sports, naturally that competitive side comes out. And I loved winning. Like fun is fun, but winning is so much more fun than fun is having fun. And I'm like, 100%. You start to become almost like addicted to winning. And it feels good. And it feels good to be like top and number one and then show other people like, hey, you can be number one too. It's all just a matter of if you want it that bad enough, if you're going to train for it.
100%.
And so I think that's part of the competitive side that came out. But then I'm also a girl. So I'm like, hey, if you want to come with me, we can do this together and grow together. But if not, I'm not going to let you hold me back. Like I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to compress time frames. And I'm going to get everything and prove to my parents, like I'm the daughter that they deserve me to be. They deserve a good daughter. My brothers deserve a good sister because I want them to have good wives one day. And I want to show them the example of what a good woman is in a household. And it's like, if I don't step up to be the good sister, they're going to find another sister. They're going to find somebody else to look up to. And, even for my boyfriend, like if I'm not a good woman for him, he'll replace me easily within a second, find another woman that fits him well. So I think that's all the competition all together is like, I got to become the best version of me. So
that's, damn. There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to pull from there. I do have something that you said. They left to the Marine when 17, 18?
Yeah, they both joined in.
And they had you when they were about, your mom had you when she was 15?
Mm-hmm.
So did you grow up with your parents?
Yeah.
My grandma helped raise me.
Okay.
So my first language is Japanese because that's my grandmother's from Japan.
Can you drop Japanese though?
Watashi no namae wa Satoko-chan desu.
I don't know.
We're used to speaking Spanish on this podcast.
I know. James was like, that sounded exactly like Spanish. I don't get it.
Yeah.
What did you say?
My name is Celina.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
very intense.
we, oh yeah, I don't know. I was like, I guess it's different. I feel like Spanish is very like flowing. The Latin language is
very
like beautiful.
sexy and-
Yeah, it's very sexy. Yeah. But so my grandma helped raise me. So when my mom was 15, my grandma would have me at home, and then she would bring me to the high school so my mom could feed me and then bring me back home. And they just did that every single day. And yeah, so my grandma kind of raised me. My grandma, if you ever talk to her, she's like, I'm technically her second mom. You know, my grandma takes pride on that because she was with me my first 3 years of helping raise me. It was almost like another child.
So did your parents stay together?
They got divorced when I was 6. So my parents both went to boot camp, and then our first duty station was in Camp Pendleton in Southern California. We were stationed on Oceanside, or Oceanside is the city in San Onofre. In California, and that was our first, like, I guess, home living together as a family. But my dad, you know, he had to get deployed on missions from time to time, so it was just my mom and I a lot. And then by the age of 6, they both divorced, so then it was half custody. And yeah, that's kind of how.
Think about that, though. Not just having a kid at 15, but trying to make it work for 6 years, and then being in the military. And we know the statistics with military marriages early on. So that's incredible that you even had 6 years of that. You know, that they try to make it work. You mostly hear the story of the 15-year-old single mother.
Yeah. And my parents did really try. I do feel like as a kid they tried, but they were just kids, you know, having a kid.
100%.
And it was hard. I think like as a young girl, I think I've always just been independent. Like I've learned how to do things on my own. I mean, my mom, the military only paid so much, and my mom wanted me to have nice things, so she pulled a second job late at night working as a waitress. So, and I can't be left at home alone at 6. So I would go in the car with her, and she'd work till 2, 3 a.m. and I'd be sleeping out in the car, out in the parking lot, you know, just waiting up or waiting for us to go home. And you don't think about it then, but you just kind of do what you have to do to make ends meet. So I saw my mom like hustle a lot and work really hard. And then my dad was just, you know, kind of constantly deployed. And so, you know, like it's almost like my whole life I've just been independent, figuring things out. Became a solution maker at such a young age, you know, and if my mom needed help or she needed something, like she just knew I was her right hand go-to girl to help her with everything. Like she depended on me, I depended on her, kind of thing.
So here's a question. So you had your grandma. Did you have a grandpa?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were together?
Yep.
Okay. So you had them, then you had your mom, then your dad. They sound very like you said, disciplined. I mean, your mom's Japanese, like big on tradition, I'm assuming, right? And so as your grandparents, what did you take away from each? And the reason I asked that, like as you were growing up, is a lot of people now at this age grew up with a family that was divorced or parents that weren't together, and they use that as a crutch instead of as taking for what you experienced with them, right? Like your grandparents and your taught you something, nurtured you. It sounds like they were part of the nurture part. And then you had your parents with the discipline and the competitive. What did you take away from each? In case someone listening to this went through a divorce and they can't seem to snap out of that.
It's so funny because I think that I am built who I am today, and I see myself in little pieces of all these people that have helped raise me. Even my mom has some of her best friends that were in the military. Like if she couldn't watch me late at night, she'd have somebody else watching me. So I've learned, I think it's allowed me to become multidimensional instead of one-dimensional thinking, especially like the cultural aspect of it. Like in my home, we don't wear shoes in our home because our house is our temple, and it's also unsanitary. So, you know, that's that side. But then my dad at the same time is like, he's a hard ass. And my dad raised me to be like, hey, Celina, like you're a woman of your word. If you ever say that you're going to do something, you have to keep your commitment to it. And so like all these pieces of these people that have built me to who I am has truly made me become multidimensional. And also my awareness is so heightened, my self-awareness. And I believe I am who I am because I feel everything. Like I feel other people around me. I feel people's emotions. And going through a lot of stress as a child, a lot of happy times as a child, good and bad things, I think that's really created and designed who I am. So it helped me become multidimensional. Yeah, I feel everything. I feel other people's emotions, and that's what makes me who I am.
All right, hold on. I got to stop you there because I think that's interesting. You just said, I feel other people's emotions. You're in a leadership role right now. I think I'm a big feel person too. And in many ways throughout my life, I've relied on solely on feeling. And then as I matured, that feeling actually didn't serve me to a point, because if I don't feel like doing something, or if I feel he's given me something, I could also be wrong. So how do you harness that to your benefit versus being a crutch when someone's feeling too much and going too much off of instinct?
Yeah, I think, like inside of your heart, especially women, and I'm sure that men are the same, but women have really good instincts. So I can tell immediately, like just by looking at somebody's eyes, I know exactly where you're at in life right now. And I can tell you probably what your habits look like, and I can tell you where you're going to be at in 2 years if you continue with those habits. I think I was also born with something different in the universe, like put something inside of me, and I sense all of those things. But also I know when's the right cutoff to let somebody go. If that person around me is not helping me grow and I'm not helping them grow, it serves the relationship no purpose, and we need to go separate ways. Now, I love you and I really do wish you the best, but this isn't good for the both of us, and I can sense that. So people, they won't always remember what you say, but people will always remember the way that you made them feel. And it's like, if I have somebody that's bad energy around me or doesn't fuel me and isn't helping me become to my elite next level, then that relationship ends. And I think that's why like the Elliot Group is so important to me, because we're a team of people that think that same exact way. I'll give you a fun fact about me. I haven't owned a TV for 3 years.
Interesting.
I don't have one, because I am so scared to go back to my old life, and I'm so scared that there's going to be something on that television that is going to bring me negative energy, like the news, right? Everything is negative. It doesn't matter what's going on in the outside world, because I control everything in my life. If gas goes up, okay, then make more money so you can, pay for the gas rates. Like Celina, little old me, one person is not going to control if the gas rates go down or not. Like I still need to get to work and need to put gas in my car. So I'm get so scared of a television or getting sucked into it. Like I turn it on and then it's just like TikTok, keeps scrolling. And then like I've done that before, where I look up at the clock and it's 2 hours later and I'm scrolling into garbage. And it's like, if I checked on something on TikTok yesterday, I'm not going to remember half the stuff that I watched just scrolling. So that's part of like knowing the boundary of like, hey, because instead of watching television, like I could be cracking open a book and reading that instead, and that helping me.
I think like there's a lot one, I think women do have a different intuition and nurture that. As much as we men would love to feel and be as aware as a woman can, we will never be able to be at least that strong, because that's just not how like the masculine was built, right? We can step into the feminine, but then we get we're not ourselves, right? So I think women do have that different intuition that you feel. We sometimes feel like something's great or a person's great, and even our own employees would be like, like, but the female employees, the male employees, they're just setting the pace sometimes in a lot of the things, right? You said one thing right now. You haven't owned a TV for 3 years. That's very impressive, because I've thought about the idea. And I was with a mentor this past weekend, and we're at a wedding, and so he's talking about the groom, right? And he's like, I think change can go forward and it can go back, right? That's what you were talking about. You can change backwards. But at the moment that you've hit transformation, change can never take you back. So there's a difference between change and transformation. Change is, I'm kind of trying this. I can change forward. I can change back. But once you're transformed into a new person, you transformed 3 years ago. Something happened 3 years ago where you can't go back to TV. And you could probably own a TV, and I don't think you would get stuck, because there's a difference between going through change is inevitable, and then transformation. Transformation, you can't. How do you go back from something that's transformed? It's like what are they called? The ones that turn into butterflies?
Caterpillars.
Thank you. That was.
It's like the recreation process. You're just recreating your life.
Exactly. See, like a butterfly, they can tell them whatever they want. They can be like, hey, you used to be is it a caterpillar? That's what they turn into butterfly? That's wild, dude. I didn't even know that.
No, that is crazy.
But like a butterfly can't go back to being a caterpillar. They can't change back. You can't go backwards. And no matter how many times they tell them, hey, you used to drag yourself like this, no, it flies now and it can't go back. You can't reverse the cocoon, right? Like, you went through the cocoon, you transform. Transform is permanent. Transformation. True transformation is permanent. Key statement there before everybody that's listening is like, no, I've seen people. True transformation, not some change or some habit change. True transformation of the character and the value of a person can't change back from that. Does that make sense?
I
And
love that
I
analogy.
Yeah, that's a
you're
great
right.
analogy.
So
Why didn't I
basically,
think
go
of
buy
that?
a TV. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's not that. Basically, what I'm saying is buy a TV. No, but don't live in the fear of not buying a TV. The only thing we should fear is God. Anything outside of that is irrelevant, because then we're putting our value, we're putting power to that thing. So when I went through my divorce, I realized that I had a lot of my power was put into things that were not me. Material stuff, cars, this, that, identity, work, all that. And so when I got divorced, I actually got rid of everything. I gave away like 80% of my stuff to a Mexican family. And I was like, here you go. You guys can have it. Take it. I don't want it. And as I was getting rid of clothes, doing all this stuff to kind of start from zero, I realized that it was hurting me to release clothes, a TV, things like that. I'm like, what's going on? Why does it hurt? Does it make sense? Why does it hurt inside?
Yeah, I think
And that's because my power was everywhere.
yeah, because people a lot of times they find their identity in materialistic items or their title.
100%.
Yes.
You know, like their status or their accomplishments. You should like winning an award, or you know, like I've been in sales my whole life, so you know, when you're the top salesperson every single month, and then that one next month that you don't get it, you're like totally in a shitty place in life and you're hating on yourself. And it's like, no, because you found your identity in all those awards. You can't. And when you find it in materialistic items, because all that stuff can go away in a heartbeat. Now what? Now you're broken because, you know, all those things mattered. And that's a really big part of like transforming too, is, you know, having identity in yourself and knowing who you are and what you believe in. And I think that that's so attractive. Like men or women, when you can
100%.
look at somebody
100%.
and they know their identity and they believe in them, you're like, whoa, like I want to do business with them. I want to be friends with them. Like it's just an attractive personality. And I've met few people that are like that. And like you guys have that attractive personality. Like people want to be around you, you know, and be mentors for other people.
It's like, what did they say? Like uncertain people attach themselves to certain people.
Exactly.
In moments of chaos, or like right now that 2024 might be crazy, we all just look for people that are certain in who they are and where they're going, you know?
I think you hit that right out of the park. People are attractive that are certain and have that identity. And I think when I'm thinking about that, it's because you know it took work for that individual to get there.
Yes, a lot of hard work.
Identity, if you have a strong identity and a strong sense of self, that's intentional. That just doesn't happen. If I just wake up and I'm unintentional and I'm chaos and that's my life, like I have an identity. It's not the identity I want. And I don't have a sense of self. So when I have that sense of self, work was put in to get there. I want to go back to a statement you said. So coming into this show, I told you I came across your YouTube channel and I went down the Celina rabbit hole, right? Just doing all this research. You have such good content out there.
Yeah.
I want to hit on a phrase you said, talking about the TV again. You said, I don't want to go back to my old life. There's like this moment of gap in like Celina's like online presence. I see like this Celina from like however long back in the day, and now I see her now, and going back to Angel talking about transformation, some sort of transformation happened. I don't know the timeline.
Well, because 2022 you joined the Elliot Group.
Yeah,
3 years ago you got rid of your TV. So what happened between 2021 going into 2022?
Yeah, talk to us about that timeline.
Yeah, 2021 August is when our company started training with Andy with the Elliot Group. So I guess technically it's 2021. I don't know the exact the exact timing, but August of 2021 is when our company started training with Andy. And that's like what really changed, but then it progressed even stronger. So I came to an event here in Arizona that we have at our Lion's Den. I came to an event in January. And that was the first time I met the Ellie Group. That's the first time I met like Andy. And that's when I started like going to the gym. That's when I stopped drinking alcohol. Like I used to, my father's side of the family comes from just heavy drinkers. I mean, just social drinkers. Anytime you have a drink in the morning, you know, Bloody Mary. And I used to have like a full bar set up in my apartment of like all different alcohols, spent so much money on alcohol. And so when I started training with Andy, I realized like a lot of my weekends were spent drinking because I was trying to relieve the pain or have something else to plug into because I was so miserable. And I realized that like this alcohol is just slowing me down. It's just a poison. It's a toxin. So one day I went in my sink and I dumped out all the alcohol and in my sink. Actually, and I'm a big DIYer, do it yourself. Do you guys know what DIY is? Okay. Just making sure. I don't know if you guys see it, like the Pinterest stuff.
Yeah.
But I used to, not as much anymore, but I used to make my own fabric softener. You know, when you wash your clothes?
Really?
So, yeah, I would like make
That's
my
incredible.
own. And it's like it's really good for your skin because, nowadays, like they put so many chemicals and stuff. So I made my own. Like I perfected the perfect recipe and it like smells really good. So I would make like gallons of these things. And what I would do is I would empty out the alcohol bottles, I would clean it out, and then I would fill it up with the fabric softener. And I would bring a box to work with me at my dealership as in sold cars. And anytime somebody came in on the lot, whether they bought a car from me or not, I would give them a bottle of fabric softener because I just wanted to promote like healthy living. And I'm like, hey, I know that this is probably really weird for you because you've never went into a dealership and you got laundry detergent from somebody, but I'm like, I just quit drinking. And instead of putting bad toxins in my body, I dumped it all out to fill it up with something that's good. So I wanted to give you this bottle of fabric softener. I hope you like it. And if you do, come back and I'll refill it. And I see that's how I created Raving Fans. Is these people were like, they're not expecting some girl at a dealership to give them a gift, one. And two, like somebody to really care about them. Like they just think I'm transactional, like Joe Schmo's car dealership down the road that just wants to sell them something. And that's how I kept the traffic flowing back in. They would come in a week later and be like, oh my God, Celina, this smelled so good. Can I get a refill? And I had a gallon there and I would take it home and I'd refill it and I'd bring it back to them and they'd come back. So not only did the car lot look busy because I always had like people flowing there, but if those people didn't buy a car from me, they did a month later because they needed a car. And that's how I created like people to keep coming back. So back to going into 2021, I just was like, I'm getting rid of everything. Like I'm recreating, I'm changing. That seminar really changed me. But the one that really, really changed me was I went to one in March of 2022. And I remember like sitting at this event and I remember like crying because at first I thought it was just sales training, like teaching me how to make more money. And with Andy's training, I went from, and I'd been selling cars for 10 years. And my goal was to be a GM and run a dealership by the age of 50. And Andy helped me get there within 6 months. So I went from top salesperson, first female finance manager at the company, first female sales manager. And we had 3 dealership locations and I ran the third one. And it just made me realize like I'm helping our community. I'm helping the automotive industry with a better name. Like just think about the last time that you went to a dealership and what was that experience like? And I've just dumped so much of my time and effort and passion into car sales. And I'm like, I just want to change this. And so going to this event in March, it really affected me that I'm like, oh my gosh, this isn't just sales training. It's like life training. So I started like going to the gym, waking up at like 4:30 in the morning. And that's when, I kind of got rid of the TVs. Like, I was starting to like sell my furniture for more money so I could pay for more training and self-investment, buying more books. And yeah, like that was like the hard line for me of the caterpillar and the butterfly moment where I'm like, that's it.
And you also had somebody you were looking up to at that moment completely. Like I think, like you said, they brought the Elliot Group to train, and then you were just back to the attractiveness. You were very attracted to them as people.
Yeah.
Right. And what they brought. And that's kind of so that triggered everything.
Yeah.
And you've moved up very fast. I want, before we go into the Elliot Group, I have a question for you. This podcast, obviously, it serves the commercial cleaning space, the facility services space, cleaning. It's a male dominated industry. And you hear a lot of the women like, oh, it's harder for us. It's harder to move to the top. What advice would you have someone, maybe a young female right now listening to this? Because if you want to talk about a male dominated industry, I think car salesman would be top.
Go to a dealership.
Yeah, go to a deal. I just bought.
Me too.
Bought a car.
I just bought a car on Saturday. Last Saturday, I'm familiar with the Andy Group. I'm like going in there, dude's all freaking ripped. I'm like, oh, he's a fucking Andy Elliott guy, right? And he was so like, I'm like trying to pull it out of him. I'm like, come on, dude, like sell me, and he just wouldn't do it. So you are right though.
And I didn't see not one. Actually, I just realized not one female sales there. So that sucks. But I just realized that. So what did you do? Because I'm sure for a second there was you and like all male, and then it's you competing with them. Maybe some people not even believing that you're capable of doing it, right? So what advice would you give them before we move into the Elliot Group? What advice would you give them?
Believe in yourself. Because I didn't, even though it may have seemed like I did, not pretended, but, I made it appear bigger than what I really was. But inside, I really just didn't believe in myself. But I remember just always wanting to, like, prove my haters wrong. I've had so many people tell me, like, oh, you're going to be pregnant just like your mom. You're not going to graduate high school. You're not going to get accepted into college. Actually, because I wanted it so bad, not only did I sell 20 cars every single month, which is good, not
Very
incredibly great, but that's really good for the automotive. I mean, there's some guys that are selling like 30, 50 consistently a month, but I mean, living in one of the most expensive states in Hawaii, selling 20 cars a month, I still graduated with a business degree, and got my business education, and so it's like I still had the ability to do that, and everybody told me, like, you're going to be nothing, and you're just going to be the same girl with the same story, and I didn't want that. So I think that rage came out inside of me, where I'm like, I'm going to prove all these guys wrong. And like, we need more women in the sales working industry.
Yeah.
We're not stuck in 1980, 1970 anymore. Times have changed, things have changed, and people have changed. And women have just as much as the opportunity as men do. And like, to other women, don't handicap yourself. That's the worst thing that you could do. Don't handicap yourself to say, oh, I'm a woman, I should get the workload lighter for me. Hell no. Like, if anything, you should take on double the amount of work just to prove. Like, and I think that's back to the attractiveness. I think that is so like sexy and attractive in a woman, where she just goes just as hard as what a guy does to prove to them, like, I have the same earning potential as you do. And I think that's where the security comes inside. So believing in yourself, and even maybe when those results don't show up, and you're not hitting the top numbers, or you're uncomfortable, and you're a girl maybe that works at Starbucks and you have a minimum wage job and you're so nervous but you want a shot, just do it. Because at the end of the day, like, when you lay your head on the pillow, did you really give that day your all? Did you give it your full potential? Because when you do, then you'll feel that change inside, and that change equals fulfillment. And you'll feel fulfilled that, like, I took a risk. I'm a risk taker. Like, I gave it a shot. I was scared. There's been so many times in my life where I'm like so scared, and I'm so concerned about what other people think. And I think as a woman in the business industry, when you take a risk on you, it's the most beautiful thing that you can experience, because most people aren't. And it's like, do you want common people results? Do you want a common car? Do you want a common house? Do you want a common boyfriend? Or do you want all the uncommon things? Because I want uncommon things. Like, I want to be great. I want to have it all. And it's like, women have that opportunity too. And I think, number one, believe in yourself and give yourself more credit. I think that even like, there's a lot of moms out there that don't take care of themselves first, and don't feed them first and care for them first. Like, take care of you, because you deserve it. You deserve it. And I think a lot of people think that they don't. Even guys. I think guys don't think that they deserve it. And it's like, dude, you do deserve it. You can have whatever it is that you want out of this world. Everything. You can have the money. You can have the business relationships. You can have the great family life. Everything. And you're just a decision away from changing your life. You got to look internally. So I think just like, belief is so important. I wish I had this conversation, with me at 21. And like, my brother is has been training with the Elliot Group since he was 15. He's coming out to his first event this weekend.
Really?
Yeah, Johnny, my oldest brother's Johnny. He's 16. And it's like, who does Johnny become the next 10 years up until he's 26 when he has me and he has these resources to plug into? And it's like, who could have Celina became when she was 16 if she found, the Elliot Group and all these mentors and people to look up to? It's like, just find somebody that's really good in your niche. Find somebody that has gone where it is that you want to go, and master that one thing. I see a lot of like women too that like try car sales, and then they try real estate for a year, then that doesn't work. So they try solar, and then like she's jumping around all these things. Stop doing that. Pick one thing and master it really, really well. Give it at least like a good solid like 3 to 5 years before you change it up to say, hey, I gave it all. But it's like, who do you become when you stay consistent, when you have a mentor? And that's why I'm like hard on my brother, but not hard on my brother. Like, he comes to all my coaching calls. Like, he's coming here to the event this weekend because I have to make sure that, he knows that he deserves it and he can have that life too. So I need to show him that he needs to believe in him, because he's in a world of all average people. He's not around the Elliot Group every day. He's not around people where they live at in the Midwest. They're not around people like this. So I have to make sure he gets that proper exposure, because his dad just wants to have him own a farmland and be a farmer and that's it in the middle of nowhere, you know, and it's like, God, like Johnny has so much more potential for himself, you know, and sometimes it takes one to show them, hey, you can have this. And I think, yeah, exposure is so important. And that's why things like this are so special that you guys are doing, because more people need leaders like you guys. Like there's so many young people out there that just don't know and don't have resources until the right hashtag or the right YouTube video comes across their page and they're like, oh, let me check this out. Like what is this? I'm interested to know. We help change lives.
The access to information in today's world too, like for someone like your brother, is like so much different than when I was 16. To the access to information. So you are right about that. And I think proximity means a lot with who you're around, because I can tell you, like, I've leveled up my belief systems, different phases of my life around different people I'm at. This man helps me level up my belief systems, and hopefully I do in other ways with him as well. 100%. And if you can get someone at like 16, 18, 21.
That's wild.
20, like, I mean, I was a mess at 24.
Same.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
exactly.
So, like,
barely getting it together, maybe.
And transformation is a process, but transformation can happen quick. Like you said, you wanted to be a GM at 50, and it happened in 6 months with the right exposure and proximity to someone like the Elliot Group.
Yeah. I just needed to find somebody with a blueprint that has already done it. And like Andy, for example, was in the automotive space for 23 years. Last year selling, he made $700,000. So he's already gone through the time, the stress, the trial and errors. So he's like, hey, pay $299 for this one course and I'll tell you exactly how to get there. I'm like, okay, why would I go through 23 years of trying to figure it out if you already have the solution to it?
100%.
It makes no sense. But it's like you want to become a millionaire, but you can't even part $300. Like it's actually cost you more money to not train with us. Like every single time a customer tells you no or you can't close a sale, like you're costing yourself more money than to just pay the $299 to get the blueprint to make that. And that's what I realized. It like opened up my eyes and like I remember the owner of the company that we were working for, he wrote Andy a check for $20,000 for Andy to train with our company. And I remember having a conversation with a couple of the coaches there. And I had realized that when I came to the event, a lot of the general managers or the owners would pay for their sales guys to come to the training. Like they would send them off or they would pay for it. But the problem is a lot of these guys would think that the Elliot Group's a country club because they didn't have to pay for things because their bosses paid for the plane ticket and everything. So they're going to Arizona coming from New York City where it's dreary and cold and then it's 74 outside with the palm trees. And they're like, oh, this is great. And I realized that they actually weren't training because they didn't pay for it out of their pocket. So I realized like, oh, it pays to play. So I invested over $25,000 with the Elliot Group in personal investment, and I paid Andy every single month, even though my GM paid, because I knew that if somebody else paid for it, I wouldn't pay attention. But if the credit card statement came out of my credit card every month, then I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm paying this money for it. Like, I better pay attention because I want those results. And gosh, it's like sometimes like I want to help people and I want to help pay for their training or their seminar tickets, you know, because they're just in a bad spot. But then I'm like, no, Celina, can't do that because they won't learn if you pay for it. And so I just have to be like careful on those things because I've made those decisions for
It's true though.
before.
No, it's true. That's how I got started. Like I invested in masterminds when I didn't even have a business. I just wanted to be around the people. And I remember like I would just see that credit card statement like get deeper and deeper, and I'm like, oh man, I'm only making minimum payments. Like I had no money, and a lot of people told me like, dude, that's very dumb. You have like $20-something thousand in debt. You're not even now. Look at the ROI now. I don't have credit card debt. Right? I use my credit card for fun. I use it to build up my points. I don't do it for debt. But if I wasn't in those rooms now, like I was just at the wedding, was the brothers that I met through a mastermind, right? The people I've met you through an event that I was an MC at. Does that make sense? In El Paso where Andy Elliot went to speak, you got to meet those people because we like, so it's kind of cool to like, when you look back at things, how you can get a return on your investment and a return on your objective and then a return on time. A lot of people, those are the three types of returns that we're always looking for, right? Time, objective, and investment. And it's cool to see like, after so much money, after so much work, after you just want to be around those people, 25,000 here, time here. Now it's like, oh, now these people run with me. Now it's not me looking to invest in a mastermind group. Now it's me. These are my friends now. This is part of my DNA now.
Isn't that
And
cool?
it's very interesting.
It's so cool. It's so cool. You're the sum of the 5 people you hang around.
Totally.
It's so true. And if you're around people that drink every single weekend and they just want to go to the bar and play darts and pool, you're going to get that same result. You know, and look at that person and how they treat their family, their kids.
Exactly.
What do they run their business like? I mean, what does their financial status look like? What does their health look like? Are they taking care of their health? I want to talk about this real quick because this is on my mind real quick.
This is your platform.
So I did a post the other day, and I made a comment, and maybe it was the way I delivered the message, but everybody understood what I was saying. But I was talking about taking care of your health and being in the sales industry. Let's just take sales out and let's just say, a regular job that you're working. In reality, would anybody follow Andy Elliott if he was 600 pounds? No, absolutely not.
They wouldn't even follow him if he didn't have a six-pack and big arms, let's be honest.
Yeah, because he's a walking billboard of discipline. And I made a post and I'm just like, look, I hate that I hate that it's law of attraction, but if I got a guy that's cut and he's 150 pounds and you could tell he goes to the gym and takes care of his health versus a guy that's 600 pounds, well, I'm going to go to the guy that takes care of his health a little bit more, because if he takes care of himself, that means he can take care of me. Not only that, look at the two different pathways. This guy's going to live a longer life. He's got more energy to serve me. He probably takes care of his clients very well versus the other person that's sluggish, slow, is behind, just wants to selfishly feed themselves and not take care of their health. And I did a post on this, and there were a bunch of people that hated on me for it. And they're like, you're being really mean, I love the Elliot Group training, but you're in the wrong position for saying this. And I'm just like, it's so funny because the people that are saying that, there that goes again. Well, look at the way that you treat your family. Is your family all put together? Is your health taken care of? Are you going to live a long life? Because this person smokes cigarettes every single day and they go out to the bars and drink and their health isn't taken care of. And, and I'm like, but stop getting caught up on this video. I hope that this video pisses you off to go push you to go sell more. And then, somebody went to go make a video on it, and they're like, you know what? I'm here to prove that you don't have to be 150 pounds and lean cut to sell cars. You can be anybody. I'm like, okay, good. I hope that this girl has a record-breaking month and she sells 40 cars. Good. I did her good. I'm helping her make some money. Yeah. So it's all about perception and the way that you view things. And I just always try to view somebody's point of view from their side. 100%. I literally try to take my eyeballs and my brain and put it inside of yours to see, how do you view the world? Let me help understand where you're coming from. And sorry, kind of went down the health
please.
rabbit hole a little bit.
Please.
But that's something that's so important is, taking care of your health. And I didn't realize that until the Elliot Group evolved, because I had a past of drinking, not taking care of my health. I used to eat fast food all the time and just didn't think it was an important thing. And then now I realized that oh shoot, some people out in the world, they need somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, that's what I meant by competitive with grace. That's the grace part of it right there. Other people would look at that post or that video that, I'm 150. I'm not 150 pounds, but I can sell a bunch of cars, and they would have been like, she's trying to prove me wrong. What is wrong? And then you're like, good. I'm glad. I hope you get 40 cars and make more money.
I want you to win.
I want you to win, and I think that's that grace part that a lot of people look at the Elliot Group. And we heard y'all talk, or we heard him talk, and that's where we met in El Paso. No one sat down the whole talk.
It was
that
crazy,
was the most
man.
impressive part.
I'll never forget that.
We couldn't sit down.
Is that common?
We just started doing push-ups. I remember doing I don't even know why I did push-ups. He called someone out to do push-ups, and I saw him doing push-ups. I'm like, I feel like I need to be with that guy and do push-ups.
I remember being front row, and I'm like, yo, I know one thing about Andy Elliott. I'm not looking him in the eye. Yeah. But the whole time, I felt like he was looking at me, although he was looking at 300 people. But I'm like, I'm not fucking not looking at him. And when I went to shake his hand after the event, he's like, thanks for eye contact, brother.
He knows.
But
even though you don't think he knows, he knows.
But it's out of love, and I think that's what I appreciate the most. It's out of grace. He's not going to force you to work out.
Yeah.
He will call you. My mentor says it best. We don't call people out. We call them up. Because people call people, oh, you're fat. That's calling people out. But saying, hey, let's get you to the gym so you can be better. That's calling people up. Let's bring you up to your potential. right? Like God gave it to you, fulfill it.
And
like,
it's because we're doing it too. Like he's doing it too. So he's not going to go tell you to do it if he's not setting the standard. Like, cause then we'd be frauds. Then it'd be stupid. But it's like he's doing it in his own life. Like I'm doing it in my own life. We've got a crew, like kind of more of a skeleton crew that's running for an Ironman. We're competing for an Ironman in Puerto Rico in March. And man, it is
Really?
so hard.
You're
It is
doing
like,
an Ironman in March?
yeah, so I'm doing the relay portion. I tried to do the full Ironman. So full Ironman is it's a 1 mile swim in open water, which is not easy because a lot of people think pools are easy. It's open water, so the current's pushing
it's
you.
way different.
And if you stop, like swimming, like you got to stand up and take a breath. Like they'll disqualify you and they'll pull you out of the water.
Really?
Because if you have to stop,
If you go forward, yeah.
Oh, really?
You
Yeah.
can go back.
yeah, they'll pull you out because they're like, if you can't do this, then what makes you think you can do the bike ride for 56 miles? Like this is for trained professionals. So after the 1 mile swim, you got to bike for 56 miles on a performance
go.
bike. And then you do a 13-mile run. Woo. And I'm just like, so here I am. And it's like the crew that's doing it is like our media crew at the Elliot Group. So it's like it's Andy's brother and yeah, we've got a team and then it's me and my boyfriend. And so we went and got performance bikes. Like you have to get fitted for them and like geared up and suited up. I mean, this whole jazz costs like $3,000, to get everything, all the equipment, that you need. And I just remember like we did 10 miles on the bike one day. And it's so like time consuming because I'm so business focused too. Like that's kind of my top priority, but I want to do this as an enjoyment piece. And there's so much to it. There's so much that me and 2 other people decided we'll do the relay. So one guy will do the 56 miles. One girl's going to do the 1 mile, then I'm going to do the 13 miles for the run. So we
How's your run?
broke it down that way.
How's your
Good.
running?
I've been doing 5 miles every day. Next week I'm going to increase it to 6. I'm a runner naturally. I did cross country and track. I've ran 2 half marathons before, so it's like naturally in my blood. I know what it takes to do the 13 miles. I'm not stressing about it. But so this week I'm doing like 5 miles, and they're very close to 9-minute miles. And then next week I'm going to do 6, and then 7, so on and so forth. But it's exhausting. It takes a lot of time out of you, and discipline too. But that comes to being a fraud. It's like I'm getting the results for my business because I'm showing people that hey, even though that I'm working all day long and I'm pushing from, when I get up in the morning from 6 o'clock and I'm working all the way till 6 or 7 p.m., I still got to get that out there and run. So that way I'm prepared for the Ironman too. And that comes with discipline, and that's respectable. Like people can respect the hard work.
You hit it right on the head right there. Discipline is so respectable. And because it's so hard. I was the biggest fraud in the freaking world. So Angel was like my first guy. We all share a common theme here. Like we all come from we had these unhealthy habits and got our health back into check. You said you were fast food every day. I know your story. And I was running this company and I was so overweight, but I was successful by the metrics in my life at that time. So that girl or whoever commented on your post, you can make money and be successful and not have a good life. But I wasn't happy. The sex with my wife wasn't great. I was a new father at the time, and Angel kind of inspired me to get into shape, and I lost 38 pounds.
Wow.
And
you wouldn't recognize them on pictures. No cap. We're gonna show you. Can we?
So
this is where having a phone,
so check this out. So the other night, my wife was like, "Holy shit, babe, look!" And she just pulled up this random photo that popped up on her iPhone memory, and I was like, "I love and hate that picture." She's like, "What?" She's like, "I don't even recognize you." And I was like, "I know." And now my kids, because I get up at 4:30 every morning, and I go to the gym, and I'm back by 6:30 to get them ready for school. And the other day, I was walking in from the gym. And Grayson, my 6-year-old's like, "Dad, I know where you were. You were at the gym because that's what dads do. That's what dads do."
Oh, I know. I just got the chills too.
And I was like, 4 years ago, that's not what his dad would have done, right? So it goes back to you're talking about Johnny. Is that your brother?
Yeah.
Being that role model, and now that I have a son, and my kids, they get up and they pretend workout, and my 6-year-old's starting to for real. And I'm like, what could he be? Right. And not even by me telling him, by me showing him. Yeah. And it's all through discipline. then my wife was like, babe, who are you? Like, it was like, it connected for the first time. She's like, I know you've changed, but damn. And then in business, we've been through the ringer in business together. And it's like, our business gradually got better when he's in check and I'm in check.
Because you have somebody to look up to, then he's got somebody, and then your kids have somebody to look up to. Now your wife.
It's just
does.
a winning
and then
scenario.
Yep. And then everybody gets leveled up, and because you're creating the reality in the economy for everybody, and it's like when you have somebody to look up to, it's powerful. I just got out of a relationship about 6 months ago with a guy that was in the same place, just didn't want to grow, like didn't really take care of his health. Like it's kind of one of those people where you go to the gym and you see that same lady that's there and she's been there for 2 years, but her body looks the same. She's not really going to the gym.
Even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, even though you show up, you're not really there. And it's so crazy that you're talking about like the sex and the intimacy, because I don't realize it now until I'm in a relationship with somebody that takes so good care of their health. But I didn't know that, and I didn't realize I was feeding into getting fast food all the time because it was a comfort thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I would bring like fast food home for my ex-boyfriend, and that was a comfort thing. And you know,
And a way to
kinda got
spend
sucked
time
into it.
together, a quality time in air quotes.
And I just didn't realize, like I didn't know until now I'm in the situation that I'm at. But I look back and I'm like, he didn't take care of his health. He was very like overweight, and there's a reason why I wasn't intimate with him. There's a reason why we never had sex, because I just didn't, you know, because I didn't have somebody to look up to be like, man, that is discipline. But now that I do have somebody that only eats avocado, ground beef, yogurt, bananas, apples, like that's all our home is filled up with, is fresh fruits and like good things for your body. And I see that in him, and I'm like, that's attractive. And then he does that. And it's so funny because he's like, my weakness is like sugar. I love candy. So he's like, if you want to go eat that candy, you go eat that candy. And it's not in a malicious way, but he's like, I love you. And if you want to have the candy, like, I'm not going to judge you because I love you for who you are. And I'm like, damn, that just makes me want to be like, nah, I really can't eat it. Because I know like he's going to be like, it's okay. Like you can have some, like we do need sugar, you know, but then it makes me realize like, no, I can't, because if I bring that candy in, it'll start to become a comfort thing. And then he'll, you know, I know he would never get comfortable with it, but why would I allow that devil to kind of come in and start to sneak in as a gateway? Because I look up to him and I'm like, man, like, it's kind of like when you take your clothes off and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, are you proud of what you look like, what you're standing in front of? And like, I look at him, and especially with the way that he's training for like this Ironman, and he's like swimming like 1.5 miles, 2 miles in the pool. I'm like, that's attractive to me. And I didn't have that before. And that makes me fall in love with him every single day.
It's the discipline.
It's like that old photo that you're looking at. It's the discipline. And that's probably the number one thing that I'm attracted to about him, is his discipline, because when he does it, his entire team does it too. And I just met his full team. He works for Bradley's Real Financial Company, Tyler Glenn, and he runs the whole thing for Brad. And they had a Real Financial event just this past weekend. And all these kids are like cut. And they look so great. And I'm like, and I know that it's because they're a product of him.
Totally.
Like I see
Yeah,
that.
they're being
And
led by him.
his top performers in the company look great. They take care of themselves. They're very like well manicured young men. And I'm like, okay, all right. I'm like, you know, and I'm like, I just want to have sex with you. You know, I'm like, that's so attractive. And then I look up to that. And then that makes me want to go harder. So then he looks up to me for those things.
Totally.
And then you have like this fusion of love, and you get to lead your people with it too.
For sure. And I want to be clear to anyone listening too, like, let's say you're not in that spot right now. You start doing it. The change starts now. Like your wife or your employees will start noticing like pretty soon, if you're consistent with it, like the effort's there and the result will come. Right. So like, of course, like my whole goal was like, I just want to lose weight. I remember thinking small, right? I was like, I want to lose 15 pounds. I lost 38, and who knows how much muscle I built. Right. And I was like, I got the end result, but really it was like, no, the mindset shift. So like, if you're in a spot that you're not wanting to be right now, but you're consistent, like the change has started. Mm-hmm. So like, just do something. Just don't stay stagnant. Like we can talk about being ripped and being in shape. Like that was for your boyfriend, that was a process. Like, you know, like maybe he's always been the guy that's been in shape, but he maintains and it's a process. So if you're listening to this and you're like back there like where or not where you want to be. It's like just start and be consistent, and people will notice that, and the end result will follow. So like it's just get up and move.
Yeah, and what were you gonna say, Angel?
No. That was just I'm like reflecting over here. I'm like, is there anybody that's actually in the place they want to be? Like, is
That's
anybody?
a great question. That's a great question right there.
I'm not saying there's a lot of people that are comfortable, but it doesn't mean they want to be there. And so no one, like even the people that have made it, I'm sure like even Andy Elliott, he's not where he wants to be. Even though he has a great life, he's not where he wants to be. And so just because you said like if you're not where you want to be, keep pushing. But it's like we're never where we want to be. There's always something better. And it doesn't have to be just financially. It can be other things, right?
Totally.
But there's always more to it. And so you just got to be able to be willing to do it.
Yeah.
And wait for the fruition.
That's a great point.
A place where my boyfriend and I started, and this is the crazy part. You know how you're talking about just start, James? Like you got to just start somewhere. We wrote down on a piece of paper. This was before Tyler and I were together, my boyfriend Tyler. Before we were even together, we wrote on a blank piece of paper our dream woman and our dream man.
Nice.
Exactly what they look like. The habits, you know, the financial spot, everything. And it's crazy because we are identically that person on that paper that we wrote down. You know, he even wrote like blonde hair, blue eyes, a certain specific height, sees the world the same way that I do. It's crazy. It is like, if you read that list, it is me. And mine too, if you read it, it's Tyler. It's crazy.
So did you guys just like randomly do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did it.
Yeah, you did that before, no?
Yeah, we did it before we were together. Like, yeah, that's how we started. Is I wrote down like the most elite version of me, and I wrote down my perfect man, what I want my perfect man to be like. And it's crazy because we were just taught to do that, like start training with the Elliot Group, and because he works at the same building as we work at, but we were just friends. We were friends for a year and a half. We weren't romantically involved. And I had a boyfriend at the time, so we just did it kind of on our own. And it's funny how it paired up to be the same. And it's just crazy. I even wrote down like non-negotiables for a man, like what I will not be willing to accept in a relationship. And I wrote down, like, I've had a lot of people tell me I'm too loud, I have too much energy. I've had a lot of people tell me like, no, like don't ever tell me I can't do something. In fact, tell me to go harder on it. I've had people tell me before, don't spend X amount of money for business or self-investing in yourself. Like you need to cap it off at a certain amount. You know, I've had people tell me in the past, like, you don't need more tattoos. You don't need more artwork done. And that's something that I'm really passionate about.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. And I'm like, if I want to get that, that's me. That's who I am. Like you can't dictate who I am and don't mold me to be somebody that I'm not. So I wrote down a list of things that I will not negotiate with. And it's so cool because as I've observed, you know, Tyler and those things, like he hasn't hit any of those. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome. So yeah, I think if somebody's listening to this and you're not in that relationship, but you're really desiring for that, just starting with a list somewhere and writing down that perfect person, because you will find that person. It's like,
and you said
crazy.
You made your elite self too, because someone's gonna listen to this, and I've heard that advice before, but they only say what you're looking for. They don't say, and next to that, let's say you do find that person. Who does that person date? Like, who am I? I've never done that. Now I'm gonna go do that. But like, because if you wouldn't have written down your elite version, even if you met Tyler, you would have not, like, he might have not been attracted because you don't even know what you're going after. And so it's very cool how you almost created like this dream couple of who you're becoming as a future wife, as a partner, and who you're looking for as a boyfriend.
Like I love to work late hours. I like to work extensive hours. I don't want to be capped off at 5 o'clock. If I got more work to do and I need to spend 2 more hours, then I'm going to do it. Don't tell me no. And it's cool because we both love business so much that he's like, cool, you're going to stay up here. You're going to keep working. He's like, I can find a bunch of stuff that I can do right now before we go home. You know, but then there's like a twist to it too, because for people that do have kids and a family back at home, like you still have to make sure that you set that time aside for that person. 100%. So the moment that we get home, if we're pulling extra hours, that phone goes away. And it doesn't sit there on the counter. Like it literally goes on the charger in the bedroom away. Because even if I have my phone that's sitting right here, or even if I put it upside down, in the brain, It's still processing that, oh, Celina may flip that phone over. If it buzzes, she's going to grab it. So when it's out of sight, out of mind, it's a respectful thing to do to the other person. And we've just worked 10 hours. We've worked our butts off. We're exhausted. We're on Zoom calls all day. We've been up since 5. The least thing that I can do is show him my sign of respect of I love you. So we put everything away. we have dinner, no phones. We pray before we eat. By the way, did you know this? I read it from Zig Ziglar's book. Here's another fun fact. We're just feeling a fun fact.
I love the fun facts.
3% divorce rate if you pray out loud with your spouse and your family.
I think I heard that recently, actually.
I read it out of the book and I was like, dude, let's start praying before we eat and thank baby Jesus. Not just on Sundays, because we go to church on Sundays too, but I'm like, let's just do it every night. Just real quick. So we pray every night before our meal, and we'll either read a book, like he'll read a book and I'll read a book, like while we're eating, or, listening to something. Or sometimes, like if Andy comes out with a new video and he goes, hey, watch this, this is fire. Like this will help with your public speaking skills. We'll set it up on the laptop and we'll watch that while we eat. So that's a matter of just the compressing time frame. So then before we go to bed, we'll usually read something or just spend time together. I think a lot of people are not where their feet are at.
Totally.
And we just have time together and we just talk about things and like we visualize and talk about, okay, in 2 years, like where do we want to be financially? Where do we want to be with our family lives? Like right now, I believe are in a time where we are prepping for parenthood in 3 years. Like that's my next
seasonality.
That's my next. Yeah. Right now is I'm all prepping for parenthood in 3 years. That way, when we're ready to have kids in 3-4 years, whatever that time is, we're ready for it. It's not like, oh my God, now what do we do? Like we're seasoned for it.
Yeah.
So that's all that we're doing is that family building life and preparing of us and growing and raising our kids. So
I think preparation's key. I love that you're touching so much on preparation, because I'm actually going to give a talk this Friday, and it's called the seasonality game. It's like, okay, if you want motherhood and fatherhood and you guys want marriage and you start now, right? Like even me, that I don't have a partner right now, I'm acting as if I am married, if that makes sense. I'm acting as a husband already. I'm doubling down on my protective, my provider, and my priest, like the Bible says, like those 3 things as a man of God, right? And I'm not having sex with other women. I'm not out there seeking and flirting. Like I'm acting as if I'm a husband and God will provide. And I love that you guys are doing that right now, because you guys, I can see that you guys already see yourselves as parents and like a specific type of family style. And that's why right now you're like, cool, 12 hours, done. 8-10 hours, great. No date night today because we got to do this. That's okay, because it's coming. Mm-hmm. It's coming, and it's preparation. It's preparation. I really look up to that. I love doing that. I know he does that a lot. And it's like we already have our year laid out for the year. And we're like, these are the goals. These are the quarters. This is how we do it. These are the focuses. Pretty simple. And then eventually, right, it'll meet. Mm-hmm. Preparation meets opportunity. Like they say, they call that luck. But it's like, no. It's intentionality. Yeah, it's intentionality.
You have to act as if, right? And so true.
Go ahead.
I was just curious. So like you guys do all of this development as a couple together. What do you guys like to do just for fun?
Oh my gosh. We don't really have like a hobby. We just love business so much that we do that together. We do business together. The cool part about his job is, well, actually both of our jobs, they're remote. Like we technically don't have to be, clock office, in and clock it out. Yeah. Sure. We have like computers and stuff that we can work off of and phones. So, like we're going to Florida in March for an event, out in Tampa. So that's kind of cool that maybe we'll take an extra day out there to enjoy, traveling. But that's kind of like a list for that's like a hobby thing that I would like to do more, is travel more, even though we're kind of like locking down on not traveling as much, but I'm like, well, I want to travel, So I guess that's kind of a big part of it. Exercising too is really important.
Totally.
That's so funny. I don't know. I don't even know if there is.
Well, it sounds like just being present.
Yeah.
But why do we have to assume that business is not fun? Like, or working out is not fun? Mm-hmm. I think like people usually ask like, so what do you do for fun? And it's like, you've sent me messages too where you're like, dude, this is you. Because it's like, what do you do for fun? I'm like, work, and I'll watch one movie, like a Netflix movie. Like that's what de-stress. Like I'm like, I'll watch one Netflix movie, work out, and work. Yeah. Anything outside of that, I'm go to church. Anything outside of that,
yeah,
I was like not that much interest in.
The other thing about it, we do a lot of like team building stuff. So we'll go out for bowling one night with the whole team. We go. We'll change it up. Like for Christmas time, we all went. What what do you call ice
skating.
ice skating. I don't know why I'm like ice sledding. We went
Could be.
ice skiing
Ice
Yeah.
skating.
ice skating. I don't know why
Did
that
you do
slipped my
good?
mind. Yeah, I did pretty good. He's a hockey player, so it's fun for
Okay,
him
what?
too. But like we do fun. We try to do fun stuff like that. Like we'll do team hikes. We'll do team stuff together. So, that I guess that's probably like our hobby thing. Like, hey, anybody free tonight? Everybody, let's meet up here and go have dinner. So.
Yeah.
So
Because you're like that too, bro. When we go to events, like even when we run our own events, people are like, "Oh, you guys want to go out to the bar? You guys want to do this?" And then he's like, "Nah, bro. Like, we gotta go gym in the morning. Super excited." And they're like, "What? That's what you guys do for fun when you travel?" It's like, "Yeah, we go to the gym." And then we'll game plan at night. Like we'll have like a mastermind thing and we'll eat dinner. And everyone's like, "What? You guys just worked all day. What do you mean you?" And that's part of that fun.
No, for sure. And so actually, the reason I asked that is because I've thought about this, and I want to kind of dive into the Elliot Group a little bit, if you're cool with that.
Yeah.
I was like, what is a day in a
Here we
life
go.
of Celina look like when you're at the Lion's Den and all of this? Because like, I follow all of you guys on Instagram. Obviously, I've dove into Andy's trainings on YouTube and all of this, and I was just blown away by how powerful of a speaker he was. Mm-hmm. And then I love the content that you guys like, kind of like the behind the scenes content you give. And I was like, from an employee standpoint, we all know Andy's Andy, but like, what's it like being an employee, and like, what's the schedule like? What's the time off? Like, I know that they train hard, but there's also camaraderie, and it's not just like sales and lifting all the time. So I'm just like,
As a head coach too, tell us. As a
give
head
us
coach,
some
because like
insight.
the individual, but then she's the head coach.
So we do
first female coach too, right?
So yeah. So we do like a lot of people think like, oh, you can't do sales training if you don't train your people too. So we do have Monday, Wednesday, Friday like sales meetings at 8:30 in the morning where we all get together and we'll do like admin stuff or something updated in the CRM. Everybody, we got to show you guys how to use it because we're salespeople. We don't know how to use no CRM, so you got to like teach us how to use it. We're automations. I'm like, auto who's it's? You need some Cheez-Its?
There we go.
I'm like, what? So we'll do like a 30 morning meeting. We have like a sales creed
So relatable.
that we say like in the morning
yeah.
too. And then technically we
Can
don't.
you say it here?
I'm an elite sales warrior. Oh, an elite sales
Yeah.
warrior. I will destroy my competition. I will destroy my competition. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Like
Oh,
sometimes
I've seen
we
the
change it
videos.
up. Yeah, so we always get like the energy flowing,
Yeah,
start the
totally.
day off right. And technically, we don't have to be in the office like 9 to 5. Like there's some people like myself right now. Like I have an appointment that I have to make, so I can't be there this morning. So some of the coaches have other itineraries, or they're speaking at somebody else's event, so they're gone. But we like Andy loves us to all be there because there's a magic. The Lion's Den has a magic feel to it. So when everybody is there dialing, it motivates the guy next to you to dial because we're all dialing at the same time versus doing it at home. It creates a sense of magic. So we usually have like Zoom calls scheduled. Like we have a separate room kind of like this where we schedule Zoom calls that we talk, with high-level business professionals. Sometimes we'll have podcasts scheduled throughout the day. And I'll give you an example. Like this week we have an event coming up, our Master Closer Seminar. So it's a little bit more hectic this week because we're planning, prepping, Costco orders, Sam's Club orders are coming in. We're getting the room prepped downstairs, our seminar room. We've got like food coming in. So we have a lot more people that are involved in moving, shuffling around a lot. Andy is usually like on a Zoom call in his office and he's talking to somebody. So there's always noise kind of going around. I like that there's always noise. It's not, it's like when you walk into a store and it's like dead, you're like, oh my God, can you turn up the music? It is awkward in here. Like you need that noise. So we listen to a motivational artist. His name's Rob Bailey, and it's like motivational music. It's it's hard music. I highly recommend you guys to listen to him, Rob Bailey. When Andy went through his recreation and he shaved his head in the garage, if you guys have ever watched that YouTube video, it was all Rob Bailey that he had listened to. So it's just motivational, like I deserve me, point my finger to the top of the world, like I'm gonna take over the world kind of thing. So
cool.
We always have Rob Bailey playing throughout the day. It's on repeat all day of all of his albums, so it kind of keeps you hard. We used to like play David Goggins, like motivational stuff on the TV, so we always have that kind of buzzing. On the TVs too, we have our core values. Our company's core values. Our first core value is trust in God, and we have it all listed. So that's a mental reminder that we get to see that. Our gym is inside of the facility too. So if anybody wants to take a break, sometimes or you get hit with no's all day on the phone, you can't close anybody. You just kind of need to get away. You can go to the
do
gym.
a bench press.
Yeah, just kind of refresh yourself and then come back up. Sometimes what I do is if I'm having like a tough day or something that's frustrating for me, I'm losing my gratitude a little bit, I'll go downstairs into our events room and I'll sit on stage and I'll just like envision myself and like envision Andy and what he's like as he's preaching in front of 300 people. And like the room is empty at that moment, but like what is life like in his shoes when he's empowering people? And it brings me back down to having that gratitude again. And so I just kind of look around, I sit there, and it changes my state, and I go right back upstairs and I'm dialing. Our media room is constantly always going because they're posting Andy stuff on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. So they're constantly like keyboard warriors, just posting, coming up. Like they're so creative. Like if I need a creative moment, I can just walk over to the media team and be like, hey, what's your guys' opinion on this? They're like, I would do this, that, and the third. I'm like, boom, I'm running with that. So there's just always a sort of buzz kind of constantly going on. And then we have an admin section, an IT section that's working on the backside. And like everybody's always doing something. There's nobody that's like scrolling on TikTok or sitting there or not doing nothing. Like somebody's always on the phone dialing. And yeah, we probably lock up the den at around like 8, 9 o'clock or so. Like there's usually some late night people that stay there throughout the evening. But like I'll have like 3 or 4 Zoom calls scheduled that day. I'll have a bunch of people that will reach out to me that want specific training. I'll also do sales training through Zoom as well, through like companies that pay us. So we do that. So yeah, that's kind of like a day in the life. We all do our chores. I know a lot of people have heard that. Some people haven't. We don't have like a janitor service cleaning company or anything. We take responsibility for all our own stuff. So like we take out all the trash, we refill up all the coffee, we clean the floors. Like it's all responsible on us because it's our facility. I'm leading the hospitality section. So I'm in charge of like our high level clients, guests, what are their experiences like when people come here to our events? What is that experience like? So I'm diving further into that and making sure that, see, a lot of companies right now, companies can measure like how many phone calls that they get a day, how many closes that they have a day, how many scheduled, leads are in their pipeline. Like all that stuff is measurable. Well, one thing that companies are not measuring currently, most companies, they're not measuring magic in the way that the company makes people feel. They're not measuring magic. And I want to make sure that every single person that comes into our facility, even if it's an Amazon driver or a FedEx driver, I want that person to feel our magic flowing through our blood, our veins. So the first thing when I see somebody new, we have a group chat, and it is required the night before, hey, if you have a guest that's coming in, you need to put in the chat their name, what company that they're with, how long they've been training with us, or if they're looking to train with us, but they want to see our facility first. That way, when the guy comes in, I'm like, oh, what's going on, Angel? Andy told me about you. You said that you're stopping in. Dude, I'm so excited. How long are you here in Arizona? Tell me a little bit about you. Yeah. And everybody's just fired up and they're welcoming you. And you're like, oh my God, like how do all these people know me? And I only know Celina, but everybody knows me all of a sudden. Law of reciprocity. The first thing that you get is you get a bottled water to make sure that you're staying hydrated in the Arizona sun. We give you a full tour. We make you feel like your company is our company and we're going to serve you at the highest level. 100%. And that's that like magic sense. So I'm taking over like the hospitality section in our company and really making sure that our clients are feeling that when they come in too. So that's kind of a part of the day in the life is me scheduling out how important that we want to make people feel when they come around us.
That's really good.
How are you measuring magic? It's funny. So
what are the KPIs for magic?
I know, they're hard. It's tough.
But do you ask? So how do you? So one thing is for me to say, hey, bro, we're creating magic. But if I measure myself based on what I think of my own company, I don't know if it's pretty fair, right? You need like the outside feedback. Maybe you, as you're going into this role, I guess a question would be, do you measure magic? Like when someone leaves, do you send some form of like feedback survey or something, or not yet? Like is this barely starting? Or?
That's the next thing that I'm getting into. So 2 reasons why we're doing like forms style, not only for historical documentation purposes for the next 100 years, we can look back at that documentation, data. But also like, is there anything that we can improve on? So that is actually the next thing. I'm talking about that on Friday. We will be having some sort of form that you can fill out and give feedback with. That way we can adjust accordingly. So, and that'll be a form for like events or regular visits as well too.
100%.
They'll be categorized. And I just want to make sure that, you know, we're catering to that person and helping them in their needs, and we won't know unless we have feedback. So we are having some sort of form, because the feeling that you have the moment that you step out versus in 30 days could be totally different.
100%.
So I want to make sure
It will be different.
Okay, where are we in those 30 days? Like, you know, even though you came in because you needed help with sales training or leveling up your company or whatever that may be, like, okay, where are we at in 30 days? Are we still helping you with that? Or have we dropped the ball? What does that look like? So we're actually coming up with a process on that currently. So, yeah.
Nice. It's cool to know that even though it seems like y'all have it all figured out and you guys are growing, it's like you can tell you're growing so much that you're still figuring out these areas and you're still implementing new things. Because I think a lot of companies that would be in your size would have already stopped. They would have been like, oh, you can feel the magic because they say you feel the magic and because our office is cool. And it's like, well, no, what about 30 days from now? What about, that's really cool that you do that. How do you keep yourself humbled through the whole process?
I'm so grateful because I could be any other place in the whole world. You know, back at my dealership where I was working at, like everybody was just so miserable.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of any place but there would be great for me to be at. And like, this is the first time in my life where I've come into a company where everybody's actually happy to work with me. Nobody's walking on eggshells. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's a good one.
things are great. Like, I couldn't be more grateful. And I just want to like do life with the rest of these people. I don't need anybody else but these people that want to help me level up. And like, what I mean by that is, like, Andy isn't ordained, so he's going to marry Tyler and I. He'll also baptize our children. You know, and it's like, why wouldn't I want that? Like, most people would just go to their local church. Why would I when I have somebody directly in the company that can just do it for me? You know, so, and it's so funny because you're right. Like, we're all playing at a level 2. Like, I'm at a level 2. You guys are definitely at a level 2. Like, there's so much more room to grow and more room. Like, a lot of people would say, like, no, Celina, you're a level 10. And I'm like, no, dude. Like, you met me when I was, like, 0.1, and now I'm just scratching the surface to the 1 to the 2.
Yeah.
Like, I have so much more music to play inside of me, and it's just going to be being consistent, staying consistent for the long term.
You just said we're playing at level 2, and I love that.
Yeah.
Because somebody that wasn't self-aware would have been like, how dare you? You're in my podcast, level 2?
Yeah.
This is our first time doing it live, and we're at level 2?
Yeah.
1,000%.
I actually like how you said you guys are definitely playing at a level 2. I was like, yeah, it's a weird game you play with yourself when you're so, like, when you are self-analyzing. Like, there's a sense of, like, okay, looking at, like, what you have done, right? Oh, I've grown so much. But then, like, my sick mind is always like, no, like, you have so much more to do. You have more to give. Like, I like not ever being comfortable with the current result. But then I do have these moments of, like, clarity of, like what I said earlier about, like, looking back at that picture from 4 years ago. I'm like, oh, like, there's this moment of appreciation of what's had, but then, like, you go right back to it and you're like, oh, I'm looking in the mirror. I look so much better now, but this is actually where I need to get to. I am at that level too. It's this weird balance act of game.
I think it's like the tank of gratitude. I think you said something very cool that I wrote down, and you said, when I'm having a tough day and when I'm losing my gratitude.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of people that are professional speakers that'll say, like, your motivational tank, right? Like, they call it like almost like a car where they fuel up and it's like, oh, you run out of motivation. I think it's gratitude. Since I've shifted my focus fully into gratitude and, like, seeing the beauty that God has given us and, like, the everyday and being like, oh my God, we got to wake up today. Like, I wake up and pray now. I get in a car and I pray. We start a podcast and we pray, because it's just, for me, it's a level of, thank you, right? It's a level of gratitude.
Totally.
And then it makes everything much worth it. When you live in a state of non-gratitude, like, there's some people that chase but can't appreciate
100%.
what they've been through. When you chase but appreciate, it's a different monster, because you're like, this is beautiful, but I still got a lot of work to do. The other way is like, I got a lot of work. Imagine all you had to do was work, but you could never appreciate what you went through. Like, that's when you go insane. And then you get to the end and you're like, this is never reachable. Like, I'm not, what game am I playing? And then depression hits and all this crazy stuff. So I love that the gratitude tank. I like that.
You sound like you're big on visualization. And going back, you said you need to find.
so true.
Well, no, you need to find your gratitude, and you go sit on the stage and you visualize the 300 people.
Or you go to the media room
Or-
to find inspiration.
Talk to us about visualization, because I'm huge on visualization, and I think sometimes people like get lost in the woo-woo, which call me the woo-woo guy because I will eat that up. So like talk to me like what visualization does for you.
Yeah, actually, Tyler got me into it. I was never into it before. I thought
So
it was
you're new to
yeah.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was silly. Like I was just like, what? But now that I look back, it's probably I've actually probably been visualizing my whole life. I just didn't really
Exactly.
know it until now
Exactly.
because the results are starting to show up. But like it's funny, like when I was manifesting, like working at the Elliot Group, I actually was visualizing. I just
Yes.
didn't know that was like the title for it. But like I would wake up every morning and I had a notebook and I would literally write down, I'm the Elliot Group, I'm the Elliot Group. And he sent me a voice message and I wish I'd saved it and because my settings weren't proper, but he actually told me like, you're not allowed to work here. Like, we're not going to hire you. We don't hire women here. You need to turn your car around. Like, we don't like, we're about to go to Mexico. Like, I don't know who you think that you are, and it was this whole thing. And all he was doing was testing me to see how bad I wanted it, to see if I was going to be the rest of the women out there to be like, oh, Andy said I couldn't work for him. Okay. But I still stayed persistent, and I just didn't realize like when I opened up that book and I wrote, I am the Elliot Group. I am the Elliot. I didn't realize that I was like visualizing and manifesting, but who made it really aware was my boyfriend, Tyler. And he's done it for, I don't know, like 3 years, maybe even longer, but he introduced me to it. And that's when it comes to grab a pen and a piece of paper and write everything down. And then like closing your eyes and really seeing like your future self and who you're going to become in 2 years. 100%. And it's so funny because I started this June of last year, because that's when we started dating. And I wrote a game plan out from June until December. And I wrote down on a list of paper all the things that I want to accomplish, and I put certain dates on it.
Yes.
So every morning when I wake up, I read that. So I have a new one for 2024. But every morning I read that. I also have a little note card by my desk that I read every single day. Like, I'm passionate. I love myself. I believe myself. Like, it's positive affirmations that I read, how much money that I'm going to make, how much I'm going to put up today, like my revenue goals. And I read it every day. And it's like literally your brain will find a way to solve that problem.
So you're not putting the how, you're just putting the what.
Yeah. And then I'm like, I'll figure out the how later. Like
that's so important.
And then,
that's so
100%.
important.
So for 2024, now I have my how I'm going to get there. But I was so new to it June of last year that I was just like, I'm just going to figure it out.
But it worked.
And it did, because everything on that list got crossed off.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Exactly.
Like I wanted my car paid off by the end of the year and I got it in November. Like all these things, like I want to empower more women in business, and like I haven't reaching numbers that we're helping more women are reaching out to me for help. And I'm like, so I'm like, whoa, I'm like, wow, it really does work. So for 2024, that's when I dialed in the how to it. And I'm even becoming even more sharper and like even more skilled and learning more information. And I'm like, okay, one of our goals that in the next 2 years is we want to own like a $2 million home. And I know that that's going to take so much work, and it's not.
Is there a
gonna be
why
easy.
behind that, or did you guys see a $2 million home once and you're like, I kind of want it?
No, we both of us grew up in like not broken households, but like his dad was never around, and they moved houses like every 2 to 3 months. They would move houses. So he didn't have a home to grow up in. They would like go stay at grandpa's house, then this person's house, and this. And I moved every 3 years, so I didn't really have stability or a place to call home. So we both agreed mutually we want to have a home. That's our secret spot. And then also a safe place for our clients to come into and people that are really important to us. So like he runs the Real Financial team, and every 6 months they have an event here at our Lion's Den. And instead of him like buying an Airbnb for everybody to come over and feast and, have dinner with, I'm like, I want to give that to them. I want to cook. I love cooking. I want to serve our people. And then also like we want to buy an Airbnb. That way we don't have to like buy a home and turn it into an Airbnb. That way you don't have to spend $2,000 on 2 houses for the weekend for your people to stay. No, they can come and stay in our home.
Exactly.
Like I want to provide that because I didn't have that. He didn't have that. So we want to, I never had a safe place to go to when things were troubled or I was lost. I didn't have that, and he didn't have that. So we just want that so badly, but I don't want an average $200,000 home. I want something grand to show other people, hey, if we can do it, and I'm not buying Starbucks anymore. Like, look, my little Keurig. I made a Keurig this morning at home. Like, we're really cracking down on it, on just spending money. I'm like, if we can do it, you can do it too. And I want that to show other people you have that same opportunity. So now that we're getting down to like, okay, if we really want to have this, what does a down payment look like? How much money are we going to have to save every single month? So we created a spreadsheet of like, okay, how much you're outgoing for your personal and for your business. Okay, how much I am. And then we did this accountability chart where every single month, January through December, I'm going to write down how much I owe on all my credit cards and what's currently my checking and savings account. And I'm going to log it on the first of every single month to see if I have really grown or if I've decreased or stayed the same. Yeah. It's measurable. And we're both shared on the Excel sheet so we can both see, you know, like holding each other accountable.
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
You guys are planning very intensely, and I appreciate that because I think that's the right way, right? Which tells me that you guys believe, right? Believe is important, that you're going to be together. Mm-hmm. So when's the wedding?
Oh my gosh, you're so funny. Everybody says
no,
on the real. We were talking about like behaviors come ahead of success. You guys are acting more like better than most married couples would even act or even have a financial conversation about. When I find my next partner, or as I'm finding them, I will have these conversations.
Yes.
I'm going to be very clear. This is how much I make. This is what I'm projected to make. These are my debts. Because I already made the mistake before. You guys are doing it the right way based on mistakes that you've learned. Mm-hmm. So what's up?
We probably...
Are you guys engaged? Are you guys engaged?
No,
okay.
We're not engaged. But
no, because it was new, right?
Realistic, yeah. It's funny because we've always been friends because I've known him for a year and a half. He moved out to the Lions Den here because he lived with Andy for 6 months and was mentored underneath Andy for sales training. So we moved out here to Arizona that same exact week. But we were just friends because he like works in the same office space as us, even though he technically works for Bradley.
Sure.
But we just always like, oh, hey, how are you? Like, you know, you killing it today? Like we were just friends. And because my ex worked at the company with me too.
Oh, God.
And so.
Does he still work there?
That's where everything had kind of happened. But like, you know, it's so funny because there was like nothing romantic involved, and we would exchange self-improvement books, like Jocko Willink's Extreme Ownership. Like we would exchange books just to help each other.
True love.
And it's and we didn't like, it wasn't a romantic relationship then, and we just wanted to genuinely help each other. And the breaking point, what it came is my ex left the company, totally cool, still love you, but where I started to have the issues when he didn't want to start attending the events. And like our coaches work the events and he didn't want to come. And that's what really broke me. And then Jacqueline Elliott gave me 30 minutes of her speech. She took out she had an hour of speaking that day. She took 30 minutes out to give to me to speak on stage. And he didn't show up. And that tore me down.
Are you serious?
Tore me down. He's like, well, I didn't know when you were going to talk. So it'd be too long for me to get in the shower and then come in. And I'm like, I told you this. I let you know the moment that it was happening. And I've been in preparation for this speech for so long. Like that's the visualizing when I would go up on the stage. Like since I determined like I want to work at the Elliot Group, I always had that vision, and he didn't show up. And at that moment I was like, And it just happened to be that Tyler was the other kind of single person in the company, and we just started to click. Like he was kind of there for me. He watched me at the speech. He was there. Even though he doesn't even work for the Elliot Group, work for Andy, he still came to every single seminar because he knew it was the right thing to do to stay around our mentor. So we both were, it's like kind of like Andy built the both of us. He built two people. Yeah. So now, like fast forwarding, realistically, we'll probably get engaged married within the next like 2 years or so-ish is our time frame. We want to have like a nice wedding, you know, and we just want to make sure that, you know, we're financially both stable in a good spot before we, you know, come together. So, and then I also think give it time.
Let's note that down. She said 2 years. Right?
Yeah, I'll let you know. We'll send you out.
Yeah, we're gonna do another podcast episode. Not for the wedding. Not for the please invite us. Yeah, for sure. I would love to go. I'm gonna call it. Let's see. I'm gonna call it that you're gonna get engaged in the next 9 months. I think it's gonna happen this year. That's what I think. What do you think?
You know, it's kind of funny when.
Hopefully, he doesn't listen to this. By the way,
I hope he does.
Tyler, that way he can listen to it after it happens, so that we could be like, dude, I called that shit. She said 2 years. I said 9 months.
We even have Tyler as a note on our paper here. Oh. It's kind of funny. I could see it happening in 2024 as well.
Yeah,
I totally could, and I think
it's just because that's just who like men. Women seek stability in somebody, right? And like we want to protect. Like we love protecting our woman, and so like. I think you're there closer than you think, and I think I get the financial part. You guys want to have a badass.
You guys
wedding.
live together?
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You know what's so
Basically.
funny is he lived down the road from me and his lease was up, right? So he got an apartment at my same apartment complex. And so
There
he
you
goes,
go.
so the leasing agent is like, we have 2 over there and then 1 over here. And she goes, got 1 right here. So it's 2 stories below me. And he goes, no, I want that one. She goes, oh, but this one's so much more affordable. He goes, nope, I'll pay more. I want the one right below her. So he has, his apartment is 2 stories below mine and we just use it for storage.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. But we essentially,
I have a question for you. Do you have a question? You're about to have a question. Mine's a little bit interesting. Is it okay if I ask a personal question?
Yeah, you can ask anything.
A challenging question?
yeah.
Okay. Because I'm going through something similar, not similar, because you're in a relationship. You guys are very faith-based, right? So they say in the Bible, how do you guys go through this? In the Bible, you shouldn't have sex before marriage and you shouldn't live together. How do you guys go through that together? It sounds like you're on the same page, though. That's the most important part at the end in the relationship. You guys are on the same page. How do you guys go through that as you guys build your relationship with God? Because I know that's something I struggled with in the previous relationship.
You know what's so funny is after like I told myself like we're not gonna, I'm just gonna flirt with you for a whole year. Like that's what I told my brain. Like I'm just gonna
He's
dance
too
around
hot
the
just to
idea.
flirt with.
I know he takes off his shirt. You're like, damn it.
And it's so funny because I think we got intimate within the first week, and I was so scared, and I'm like, we shouldn't do this, like, because I'm nervous because when you break that threshold, that's a very vulnerable moment.
100%.
And once you pass that, it's kind of like, I'm curious to know, like, is there anything else more to learn about that person? And he knew at that moment, like, no, this is good. Like, this is okay for us. This is good for us because I love you so much. And that was the first time that he told me that he loved me, is a week after dating. He's like, I love you so much. And I know that this sounds weird to you, but I'm going to be with you for the rest of our lives. We're going to be together. And he goes, I love you. And there's nothing else that we have to worry about. Don't overthink it.
He declared it.
Yeah. And it was just, I was so scared because previously in my, like, when I was dating, when I was at that 24 mark age, you know, every single time that I got intimate with a guy, it was like a day later, I would never really talk to them again because we didn't have common interests. We weren't really interested in each other, but I was hoping that the intimacy would bond and solidify the love of each other. But it is really true when we say that we see the world the same way that each other views it. We view the world the same. And I know his like core values, and I think it's just because we both had the same mentors. He is the most coachable person that I've ever met in my whole life. And I know that he would like do anything for me as I would do anything for him. And it was at that moment. And it's so funny because everything up until now has proved like we were right that week when we decided to make that move, you know, because I just gave him like my all. And I'll give you an example. What I mean by that is I remember he said it was his dream to go on Bradley's Dropping Bombs podcast. And he was visualizing, like, one day I'm going to be there. One day I'm going to be there. Well, finally, he got the call from Brad.
Was, right?
Yeah, he got the call from Brad saying, okay, let's do this. Like, let's get you on here. When can you come? And so Tyler calls me up and he's like, I got the call from Brad. We're going on, Dropping Bombs. And I'm like, oh my God, I was so excited for him that I spent a lot of money on a professional videographer, photographer to travel with us for 2 days to get everything on recording.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And it's like, I didn't talk to him about money and asking him if he was okay with it. No, I just did it. I called the guy. I said, hey, what's your budget? Like, spent a lot of money. I'm like, I don't even care the amount of money. Whatever it is, it's going to produce the best quality for him because I want him to enjoy this experience that he's been working so hard for.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to give everything to him. I wanted to give everything because he deserves it so much for the hard work that he's put in. So we're at the airport and the videographer, they're very good. He's very good friends with the videographer, shows up and surprises him. And he's like, no way, you're traveling with us like the 2 days? And he's like, yeah, I'm going with you. Comes on the airplane with us. Like, we just had a blast for 2 days recording everything, and that just like solidifies to him, like, you are the right person. Like, I did make the right decision. So I'm such a firm believer in like giving so much because I know if I give, like, you're going to give me that in return. And, but going back to the Bible again, like, I think our love just surpasses that so much, or like saving yourself. And I just, I guess I just know that gut instinct, that intuition, and really truly having the right mentors, I think is what changed everything. us both having that.
There's a part of me that just kind of wants you guys to get married already.
I
Like,
know.
it sounds like
I say that
you're
too.
married.
Like-
I kind of need Tyler to visualize being on the Profitable Cleaner podcast, so we
Yeah.
could do this a couple spot. We've actually interviewed marriage counselors on this show before, because a lot of our listeners are business owners, husband and wife ran. So like, I think it's
We
actually
should have Tyler actually.
Yeah,
So that people
like-
could like be like, oh my god, we just
like, so I actually think it's cool that we're diving into the relationship, and people are like, oh, you're the profitable cleaner, facility maintenance CEOs. It's like, no, because this is the shit that matters, because when we go home, no matter what business you run,
100%.
you are opening the door to a Tyler and a Celina, or maybe it's a Bob and Sally, or maybe it's a James and Lish, right?
maybe it's like Celina and the old relationship,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Me and my old divorce,
Exactly.
like 100%.
So, and like that actually impacts everything we do, and it starts right there. That's the nucleus of your life.
People don't have business problems; they have personal problems.
100%. 100%.
This is where I wish I had that button like Bradley
I
does.
know. I
Wish
feel
you
like
would.
We
I
gotta
want
come
to
up
hit
with a
this,
fun
dude.
one.
Yo, we have buttons all this time.
Dude, well,
We could have sounds and shit.
There's applauses.
Bro, what? Oh,
let's go.
yo! Please don't edit this. This is amazing. Bro, why didn't I know have buttons?
Dude,
there
I
you go.
didn't
You
know.
got the first.
There we
What is that?
go.
Like a
It's a
horn?
horn. I don't know.
That's
It's the juice.
I
That's
love
what it is.
I love that you said that because it is, God, that is so true. There's no business. There's situations. There's business situations, but it's personal problems.
Yeah, and we treat everybody like the people that are on our team. We literally treat them like family. This is how crazy that we are. People like call us like a cult, like call it what you will, call it. We just all want to be successful together. Majority of our coaches, probably about like 70% of the company, we all live in the same apartment complex. Don't know how it happened.
crazy.
It just happened.
That's
that way.
amazing, though.
We didn't all plan it and be like, hey guys, let's all go apply for the same apartment complex. It happened. Like one person went there, then another person, and now like, yeah, except for the ones that have
Is it
kids,
close to the
but-
office?
yeah, it's like 2 minutes away from the
Oh,
office.
that makes a
but
lot
we
of sense.
all
That's
live
cool.
there, so it's neat that if somebody needs something, like we're there for the team, we're there for the person that that needs us or needs help, and like we just treat our team like it's our own family, and I think that's our superpower too. Is treating everybody
What's your
like family.
superpower?
Like finding security in my team, like having the right mentor. Tyler is right for me, knowing that he's right for me. All those little kind of pieces are the superpower, and they build who I am.
So
What?
I know we're running into time, right?
We got like 5-10 minutes
Perfect,
here.
because I have a deep question. Let's do it like we always do the other podcast, because this is the first time live, and we always ask
We just
very deep questions at the end, but you have 5 minutes to answer them, so it makes it a little more intense.
Okay.
I'll let James start.
You mentioned that you guys get called a cult. I want to know, like, I love the Elliot brand personally, but I know some people don't. And I'm wondering, like, from you growing with this brand here over the last few years, like, what's the most, like, hate that you guys get as a brand, and, like, kind of, like, pushback, and then, like, maybe even you personally now that you have your own personal brand?
Yeah, a lot of people say like the whole 6-pack or you're fired. Like, oh, you're judging people. That's probably our number one
It's
thing.
like you're missing the principle.
No.
Yeah, it's not literally like we actually do have some people in the company that don't have 6-packs, but that person, what they were 2 years ago when they first started with the Elliot Group, they're very, very different, and they've lost 120 pounds, and they're still recreating and changing. But that's probably the biggest hate is you guys are judging people like you're not being equal to other people. You shouldn't have to be fit in order to work for the company. That's probably like the top one. Yeah.
What about
I'd
you?
say
Have
the-
you got
the
any hate
fitness.
on your personal brand?
Just the last one that I was talking about recently, the health thing.
Why is it always with health, man? Why do people have
They
such
think
low
it's-
expectations? I mean,
I
low.
think-
Oh my god.
I think it's
standards.
because we're moving into a phase where it's like, just be beautiful and love you. Even if you're 500 pounds, you have a beautiful body, but it's like, you're not gonna live to be 100.
And it's
maybe
not even
50,
true
60
love
years
though
old.
either.
I
It's not
just-
even true love. How
Your
can you say you
body-
love yourself and you're beautiful if you don't see
Your
like,
body
there's no
is
way.
meant to be a machine. Like God designed you. God designed people to use their bodies and work and move and be physical. You're actually doing a disservice and disrespect to yourself by not taking care of your
and
health.
to God.
Like I view myself literally like when I'm working out and like what I'm training for now as like a warrior. And I'm like, my freaking great grandfathers were freaking warriors. And
Well, your
like,
dad was in the war.
yeah,
literally.
exactly.
Your
And
grandpa
I'm
too.
like, yeah, exactly. So I'm like, this is what I'm doing. So I knew that
the Elliot brand makes a statement in any room you guys walk into. And so I knew that not every statement resonates with people. So I was just curious.
Or some people think like we're maybe like egotistical or like, but when you get to know us and you know where our hearts are at, our hearts are in all the right places.
Yeah, there's a lot of love there.
Yeah, a lot. Like all we want is just help people get exactly what it is that we have too. That's it. And if you know where our hearts are at, then you're gold. And now actually we're starting to get a lot of texts because people text into Andy and YouTube comments that are saying, hey, I used to hate you. Like your short shorts and your tight shirts.
Yeah.
I used to hate you. You were really annoying and I like blocked you. But then I've changed now and I'm seeing things a different way and I actually have a lot of respect for you now. It's cool. It's starting to change.
And that's something we always tell our team, and James has said it, because that can be pretty intense sometimes too. I think that's why we all hang out and get along. But I always tell him, understand my intention before you judge my methodology, because the methodology that the Elliot Group uses is very intense if you compare it to an average methodology. When you don't understand the methodology, it might sound really out there, really crazy. But when you back it up with the intention, right, of where your heart is, like that's where everything comes out. My friend says it really cool, and he says, out of the mouth, the heart speaks. And so where the overflow that you have in your heart, that's how you speak. Mm-hmm. It's not the other way. And so that's true. Once we learned a lot about Elliot, and when we get to hang out with you guys at that baseball park, we fell in love with the team too, because we're like, oh, it's like that. It's different. It's not what you see on the shorts that you see with your own bias. We got to get to know y'all.
Yeah,
and it's
social
been a
media is
blessing.
just one thing, and that's why we put like a lot of Andy's content is very intense because it really changes people and it wakes them up. But when you get to know us, like Andy has 9 toes. He's hilarious. He doesn't even have 10 toes, and he'll tell you the story about it.
Totally.
Like he's just a normal dude.
Yeah,
He just
totally.
kind of wanted it more than anybody else. So it's like you really do get to know us when you surround yourselves with us, and we're just some cool people.
I have one final question. Do you have one before I ask this
Go
one?
for it.
This one's interesting because I wasn't sure how to ask it, but it's a good question. Here we go. If you were to remove that logo from your shirt, what would you want your mission and vision to be? What would you want to be remembered as? If I removed Elliot from your shirt right now. Which is a very hard question, just so we're clear, because you're still in that.
Yeah.
And your vision fits within his vision. That's how you know he's a great leader.
Yeah.
Because you can vision millions and millions, and it'll still fit within the company and within what he's building, which is very impressive.
Rare.
It's rare. But if I were to take that logo, what would be your mission?
I would say it would be along the lines of being relentless. I've really done a lot of studying on like Tim Grover in his book, Relentless. And I'd probably say like that would be my title. Like that would be something I would put on a t-shirt and wear, or like me, that being like my brand. Relentless or like multi-dimensional. Those would be like my 2 title topics or my mission. And I think because a lot of people, they give up so quickly, so easily when it doesn't go right. Or they'll try like 2 times and then they'll just like give up. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by relentless. I'm trying to apply for a TV show right now, a national television show. And you're competing against 25,000 other people to get on this show. And I got a call back from a producer. And I got a call back, and I've been working with this producer very, very closely. She called me back again. She goes, "You didn't make the cut. My goal is to put the Elliot Group's mission out, and if I can make it nationwide, worldwide, we can help even change even more lives by helping us put our brand out there." She gave me a call back. She goes, "Hey, you didn't make the cut for the show. Maybe you'll make it the next season or the season after." Most people would probably be like, "All right, I'm going to give up." Me, I got her cell phone number. I'm like sending that girl videos of me training for the Ironman. I'm like sending her funny memes, and I'm like doing all these different crazy things, because whether it takes me 6 months to get on the show or 2 years or 5 years, I am not going to stop until I get on that show. So like that's probably like part of my brand, is just being like relentless. Like whatever my mind is set to, when I say I'm gonna get something, like I'm gonna get it. Even if it takes longer, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
Like there's no negotiating with that.
Celina, it's been a pleasure to have you here on
Thank
the
you guys for having
podcast.
Thank you.
Thank
James,
you.
it's always a good time to co-host, brother.
Likewise, man.
We'll be praying for your mom so that she can take the hard road if that's what God wants, and we'll be praying for you. Anything that you need. Any message that you want to tell the world before we cut off here?
Yeah.
Outside of all of the ones you already threw at them?
Oh my gosh.
And where can they find you?
Oh yeah. So Instagram, first and last name, Celina Eklund,
We'll link it all,
Celina Eklund. But the best way to get a hold of me is my cell phone number. I have an iPhone, so it'll go blue. 949-212-1587. It's the best way to get a hold of me. Just shoot me out a text message. 949-212-1587.
You should totally make a ring with it now. I really hope you make a ring with it. Well, listen, y'all, thank you so much for listening. Text her. She will respond. Text her. Connect with her on Instagram. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on The Profitable Cleaner.
Thanks, guys.